Hi, what's up? I'm going to show you around in the sample scene of the TargetWarp asset. For that, I already have the TargetWarp asset downloaded and installed in this project. And if I go to the package manager under in project or project, and I go to the TargetWarp asset, I can head over to the samples tab and install both samples. You can also see them in newer versions under the all samples, and then they are under the Arobos tag. So for this little showcase, I'm going to use the base samples mechanism. They are both basically the same, and the only difference is that the one is using the mechanism animator and the other one is using the animancer, which is a package from the asset store. But it does cost money. So for this case, I'm just going to import the base samples. And after the import is finished, we do have a new folder, which is called samples, asset samples. If we head over to TargetWarp, the newest version, in my case 3.0, and then the base samples, all the way down to the scenes. I can open the scene. So that is the sample scene. If we come over to the middle, you can see that we have some entities in the scene. Blue ones are not attackable because they have their own little warping that they're doing, and the red ones are attackable. So if we hit play, you can see on the bottom left we do have some attacks available which we can use. So in my case I have to press the F keys, F8 for the first attack. We can go F6 for the second attack. And this one, this guy here, is not attackable. He's doing his own warping towards the spheres randomly. And the other one is doing, he will attack me as soon as I come in range, which is perfect. And the last key is the F5. If you look closely, there's one thing going kind of wrong here. And that is because the data is not set up properly. And in this demo, I'll show you how you can fix this. We will have a look at the player first and actually focus him. And we go to the inspector on the right. Scroll down, we can see there's one really important controller. So this is the one that is basically responsible for the motion warping. That is called the input motion controller. Every entity that performs motion warping in the scene does have a similar controller to this applied. So if we go to the one here that was attacking the spheres, he has a random motion controller assigned. If we go to the other one, I believe he has the same one. Yeah, random motion controller assigned. And they both inherit from the same base controller. So you can build your own controller on top of this, or you can simply use this one as is. Okay, if we open up the warp input mappings on the player, on its input motion controller, you can see 3 entries here. These contain a keyboard input value. This was the one that you saw on the bottom left of your screen with the F8, F5 or F6 keys. And it also has a strategy and a motion data. The motion data does only store the animation itself and the warp data. So basically holds the information that is important for the warp. We'll look how this looks in a second. And the strategy is only helping you to find your targets. There's a lot of them that are already created, which you can use. You can also create your own ones, and we'll look into this in a second. So let's now fix the one animation that was kind of doing something wrong. I'm not even sure which one it was, so let's click on one of these. And you can see in the project tab, we are in the data folder and the subfolder motion. And in here I can inspect these three motion datas. The clip you can see here on the bottom is the one that is assigned at the top, and we want to find the clip that was, yeah, I think it was even this one. Nice. So this is the clip that was kind of wrong, and we will look into why. So below the clip we have a target object assigned. This is the character mesh that you imported, and it is here because we sampled the animation within the motion data when we hit this pre-compute button, which we'll do in the end. And for the sampling, we just need the exact armature of your character that we are manipulating. Good. Next up, we can add or remove parts. What does that mean? So your entire animation is set up that way that it has some movement in between. So for example, you can see here, we do move the character from frame 11 to 18 roughly, and we just need to tell our motion data, hey, we want to move from frame 11 or from frame 14 to frame 18. That is all we need to do, and then I will do all the rest in the background, right? We just need to hit this pre-compute button here. So but you're probably wondering, okay, so why is there a ground motion and why is there an air motion? Why is it split up? Let's look at this. Let's say we have an animation. It's a jumping animation, but it also makes two steps. So our character moves, he makes one step, he makes another step, and because he's running, he has this slight little lift between the steps. So it's not like he makes two steps, but he makes one step, another step, and then he jumps. If we configure the motion warping to be from the start frame of the movement to the end frame of the jump, we will have the problem because behind the scenes, what all it does is it scales up the motion. We will get scaling on keyframes where we're not even jumping, and the scaling will be on the vertical axis. So no problem for the ground axis. We want to move the character to the target within the running and the jumping, but we don't want the lift to happen within the running. So within the little kind of Y displacement that we have while making the steps, because then we would make a step and use the little like lift that's happening between to actually warp towards the end position of the vertical axis. So one step, another step, and we would be kind of flying here and then start the jump already in the air, which wouldn't make any sense. So that is why I split them up. And you can basically say, okay, I want to have the ground warp within this entire frames, and I only want the air warp within the jump. Right, so keep that in mind. That will happen to edge cases. For the most of animations, you can just like leave them both the same, the ground motion and the air motion. We saw that the motion actually starts even earlier than frame 14. I believe at frame 11 or frame 12. Let's go with 11 actually. So we can just take this handle here and move it until the bottom says frame 11 here. This window just like this animation samples the frame that you set up on the top. Let's do the same thing for the air motion. And we can now hit pre-compute. Next up, we have a motion type here. The motion type, if I go back to my little whiteboard here, the motion type is there because sometimes everything is perfect, where your animation moves you on the ground axis and on the up axis. This is there for most animations. But sometimes your animation only, for example, has ground movement. And then if you want to reach a target, scaling up a zero movement won't work. So if your movement vector is 0, 0, 0, you can't multiply it with anything because what you get is 0 in the end. So if you want to reach a target and your target is, for example, kind of offset into the air. Let's actually try that. So let's go with the target here, the dummy, move it up, hit play. What you expect is if I click F8, for example, that I reach the target, right? He's flying, but that's what you expect. If I go back to my data folder here, my motion data folder, and we inspect the swing left further, we can see he has no movement on the y-axis. So this little red arrow stays on the ground the entire time. If we switch interpolation to warp and we try to warp our air motion, where we can even look at the frame data, 0 movement on the y-axis, we will put a multiplier on top of a 0 value. And if I do the same thing again and press F5, you can see there's no vertical motion that is happening. Yeah, so for that, to resolve this issue, I created a interpolation which ignores the actual movement numbers. So if we go back to that swing and set this up back to interpolation, it will work just as fine. It will use this window from the start to the end frame and just interpolate the distance that you will want to cover on this axis. So if I hit play again, F5, you will see that we reach the target again. So let's target the issue again. We end up in the target. That is not good. How do we fix that? We have one last thing here. If I just minimize this one, we have a position offset. And in our case, we want to stay away from the target a little bit further. So we can put -1 here. We want to end up -1 units away from our target. And if we go to the game mode again and hit F5, we can now see this one works perfectly because we don't end up in the targets, but instead in front of the target. Nice. Okay, one last thing. You're probably wondering, like I opened up this frame data array. If I shrink these things, this warping, and hit pre-compute again, you see the frame data do have less entries now. They are basically showing you which is the actual distance covered from this frame to the end frame of the warping. And it's not for you, it's for the calculation in the background, but it's for you for the debugging. So you see, okay, oh yeah, I have 0 motion on my y-axis, so I probably should use interpolation, right? This is not important. I could have left this one out. This is for debugging and not really for you. So lastly, let's click on the player again and have a look at these strategies. What they are, it's pretty simple. They basically tell you which target to actually target for the warp. And there's a lot of them that are already pre-made for you. You can just inspect them, have a look at them. For example, the one that the character currently is using is the next dummy. You can click on it and basically tells us, okay, which is the target entity type that we're trying to target. In our case, I select dummy. This refers to that each entity in the scene has a entity component attached and has a entity type selected. In this case, it's dummy. Here it's player or beacon. But the entities all have dummy selected. So all this strategy does is it targets the next dummy and it takes the next one from the current forward of your camera. You can also set this one to self. So let's actually try it out. If I look to the right, I press F8, I will target that enemy. If I now switch the strategy and say, okay, the vision source is the self, it doesn't matter where I look. So even if I look at this target there or this target in the back, if I press F8, I will take the one that is my my forward. And I can even change here the target type to beacon, for example. And the next thing I will be focusing is probably one of the spheres here, F8. And yeah, targeted the sphere. I will keep targeting the sphere because I have the the player selected. Instead of camera, switch to camera, press F8, will target the one that I'm looking at. Yeah, and there's multiple more. Some like these automatic and manual forward ledge ones, they are there for parkour, which I will be covering in another tutorial. This is also quite simple. Now you know everything you need to know about this package. The rest is just super simple. I hope you enjoy it. Have a nice day.